Have you ever gripped the armrest of your chair, terrified that your legs might fail you when you try to stand? That split-second fear, will I fall? Will I need help? Isn't just getting older. It's your body screaming for help. What if I told you that the difference between hobbling to the bathroom at 3 a.m. and dancing at your grandchild's wedding isn't luck? Or even genetics? It's hiding in your kitchen, your medicine cabinet, and the sunlight you've been avoiding. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn those shaky, cramp-ridden legs into pillars of steel. No surgery, no magic pills. But first, answer this. How many years of your independence are you willing to lose? Because no one told you about these 7 vitamins. It was a quiet Tuesday morning, the kind where the sun spills over the windowsill and the birds chirp just loud enough to remind you life is still peaceful. I was watering my roses, the same ones I tended for 20 years, when suddenly my legs buckled. Not a stumble, not a trip. My legs just quit. 1 second I was standing. The next I was kneeling in the dirt, clutching my thighs like they betrayed me. And they had. The doctor called it age-related muscle weakness. But I knew better. This wasn't aging, it was neglect. Years of skipping breakfast, avoiding the sun like a vampire, and popping antacids like candy had drained my body of vitamin D and B12, the very things that keep legs strong. The blood test didn't lie. My levels were in the gutter. But here's the good news. It's fixable. I started with 15 minutes of sunlight on my bare arms every morning. No sunscreen, just pure golden vitamin D. I added fatty fish, salmon twice a week, sardines on toast like my Italian grandma used to make. And that B12 deficiency? A simple sublingual tablet dissolved under my tongue every morning. Within months, I could rise from a chair without pushing off the arms. The roses? They've never looked better. Lesson: weak legs aren't a life sentence. Get tested. Fight back. There's a special kind of humiliation in gripping the hand drill with both hands, hauling yourself up 1 step at a time while your knees crack like popcorn. I used to take the stairs 2 at a time. Now I avoided them altogether. My doctor shrugged and said, arthritis. But I refused to accept that my best days were behind me. Turns out, my joints weren't the problem, my nutrition was. Magnesium, the unsung hero of muscle relaxation, was MIA, and vitamin K, the traffic cop that directs calcium to bones instead of arteries, nowhere to be found. I overhauled my diet. A handful of almonds with my morning coffee, magnesium, sautéed spinach with dinner, vitamin K, and a warm Epsom salt bath before bed, magnesium through the skin. The stiffness didn't vanish overnight. But one morning, I caught myself climbing the stairs without thinking. No white-knuckling the rail, no wincing. Just walking. Lesson: pain isn't normal. Dig deeper than the diagnosis. 3 a.m. The clock glows red as I jolt awake. My calf muscle twisted into a knot so tight I could have kicked a field goal. These weren't just cramps. They were kidnappers, stealing my sleep and leaving exhaustion as ransom. I blamed dehydration, tried pickle juice, even slept with a bar of soap under the sheets. Yes, that old wives' tale. Nothing worked until I met a nurse who asked, "How many bananas do you eat?" The answer, 0. Potassium, the electrolyte that keeps muscles calm, was AWOL. But bananas weren't the only answer. I started baking sweet potatoes, more potassium than a banana, blending avocado into smoothies, and sprinkling lentils into soups. And magnesium? Added a nightly supplement, glycinate, gentle on the stomach. The cramps didn't just fade, they vanished. Now when I wake at 3 a.m., it's just a marvel at the silence. Lesson: your body screams in cramps what it can't say in words. Listen, the cereal aisle was my battlefield. I clutched the cart with both hands, my legs trembling like a fawn's. People brushed past me, oblivious to my silent terror. What if I fall? What if I can't get up? My doctor ran tests and found my B12 levels were lower than my retirement account after the 2008 crash. Turns out, years of acid reflux meds had sabotaged my ability to absorb B12 from food. No B12 meant my nerves were misfiring, leaving my legs unstable. The fix? Weekly B12 shots for 3 months, then daily fortified cereal, Look for 100% DV on the label. Slowly, the cart became a tool, not a crutch. Now I walk aisles with my head up, even grab the occasional box of Lucky Charms for old time's sake. Lesson: balance issues aren't just getting older, they're a red flag. Uncover it. At your age, what do you expect? The doctor's words hung in the air like a death sentence. I expected to travel, to dance at my granddaughter's wedding, to live, not just exist. So I sought a second opinion. The new doc ran a full nutrient panel. Vitamin D, dismal. Magnesium, pathetic. B12, a joke. She didn't see aging. She saw a body starving for basics. I fired the first doctor. I ate eggs like they were going out of style, B12. Soaked up the sun like a lizard, D. And swapped coffee for mineral water, magnesium. 6 months later, I walked into that first doctor's office. Just to say thanks. Thanks for being wrong. Lesson: aging is often just untreated deficiencies. Be your own advocate. The room smelled of lavender and quiet judgment as I unrolled my mat, surrounded by women half my age who folded themselves into pretzels with effortless grace. When the instructor cheerfully called, "Forward fold," I reached for my toes and barely made it past my knees. My back protested, my hamstring screamed, and worst of all, I saw the pity in the mirror. That night I Googled, "Why am I so stiff at 60?" until my eyes burned. The answer wasn't age. It was vitamin K deficiency, the overlooked nutrient that keeps joints lubricated and muscles supple. I started small, a handful of raw spinach blended into my morning smoothie, vitamin K1, a side of roasted Brussels sprouts with dinner. Within weeks, I noticed less creaking when I stood up. Then came the miracle. One morning, bending to tie my shoes, I realized I had done it without holding my breath. When I returned to yoga, I didn't care that I still couldn't touch my toes, because I could finally hug my knees to my chest without feeling like a rusted hinge. Lesson: stiffness isn't your body's final chapter. It's just a missing nutrient waiting to be discovered. "Grandpa, why do you walk so slow now?" My 5-year-old grandson's innocent question hit me like a gut punch as we crossed the parking lot to get ice cream. I wanted to blame the knee replacement, the arthritis, the natural aging process. But the truth was, I'd stopped fighting for my mobility. That night, I researched like a madman and discovered 2 game changers: vitamin D for muscle strength and calcium for bone density. I started with breakfast, Greek yogurt with almonds, and a vitamin D supplement. I bought resistance bands and did leg presses while watching the news. 3 months later, at the same ice cream shop, that little boy looked up at me and said, "Grandpa, you're fast now," as I kept pace with his skipping. The secret wasn't magic. It was giving my body the raw materials it had been begging for. Lesson: when a child notices your decline, it's not cute. It's a wake-up call. Answer it with action. I stood in the fluorescent-lit pharmacy aisle, squinting at the label on my blood pressure pills when the words hit me. May cause magnesium deficiency. All those nights of leg cramps, the constant fatigue, the trembling hands, they weren't just getting older. They were side effects. My doctor had never mentioned it. I started eating pumpkin seeds by the handful, added a daily magnesium glycinate supplement, and drank mineral water instead of tap. But the real victory came when I marched back to my doctor's office with research printed from credible medical journals. Together, we adjusted my medications and added magnesium tests to my regular blood work. Now, when I pick up my prescriptions, I ask one question: what nutrients does this steal from me? Lesson: your medicine cabinet could be robbing your vitality. Fight back with knowledge. The internet promised miracles. Reverse aging with this one supplement. Bottles scream from my screen. I spent $387 on pills with exotic names, desperate for a quick fix. None worked. The turning point came when I found an old photo of myself at 50, vibrant after a hike, and realized I hadn't been deficient in expensive potions back then. I'd been eating real food. I threw out the snake oil and returned to basics. Eggs for breakfast, B12. Sardines on crackers for lunch, D and calcium. A spinach salad with olive oil, K, for dinner. Within months, my energy returned, my legs felt steadier, and my wallet was thicker. The real magic pill? Consistency. Lesson. There's no shortcut to vitality, just a timeless truth of nourishing your body daily. Kneeling in the dirt used to mean calculating how I'd get back up until the day I planted tomatoes without even thinking about my knees. The difference? Vitamin K2 from the natto, fermented soy. I grudgingly added to my diet after reading about its bone benefits. At first, I gagged at its slimy texture and funky smell, but mixed with rice and hot sauce, it became tolerable. Then something remarkable happened. My nagging knee stiffness diminished. I could squat to pull weeds, pivot to reach my gardening tools, even sit cross-legged on the grass to watch the sunset. My neighbor gasped when she saw me effortlessly rise from the ground. No hands, no groaning. Now I keep natto in my fridge like a secret weapon, and my garden, it's never been more abundant. Lesson. Sometimes the most powerful remedies are the ones we resist until they give us back our lives. I'd avoided weddings for years, not because I didn't love celebrating love, but because the dance floor felt like a minefield. Every step a gamble, every twirl a potential disaster. At my niece's wedding, I hid in the corner, nursing a glass of punch, until my sister dragged me into the crowd. "Just sway," she yelled over the music. But my legs felt like concrete, my balance wobbling like a toddler's first steps. Later, I learned it wasn't just old age. It was my nerves misfiring from years of B12 neglect and muscle-starved of magnesium. I started small, a daily B12 lozenge and a nightly magnesium glycinate capsule. I practiced swaying in my living room, gripping the back of the couch until my palms sweat. 6 months later, at my daughter's wedding, I didn't just sway, I danced. No death grip on the tablecloth, no panic in my chest. Just pure, unscripted joy. The secret? Giving my nerves and muscles the tools they've been screaming for. Lesson, dancing isn't just for the young. It's a rebellion against surrender. You're overreacting. Jim laughed when I told him about my vitamin D tests. We're old, aches come with the territory. 2 months later, he slipped on a wet sidewalk and shattered his hip. Visiting him in the hospital, surrounded by beeping machines and the smell of antiseptic, I wanted to scream. This didn't have to happen. Jim's bone densities can reveal severe osteoporosis, a direct result of untreated vitamin D and calcium deficiencies. He'd ignored the cramps, dismissive fatigue, and now he faced a year of rehab. I started a weekly health huddle with my buddies, grilled salmon lunches, packed with D and B12, walks in the park, sunlight plus movement, and a pact to get annual nutrient tests. Jim's now our loudest advocate, crutches and all. Lesson. Sometimes saving a friend starts with salmon salad and a blood test. The crosswalk timer counted down 20 seconds as I stood frozen on the curb. For years, I'd accepted that I couldn't cross in time, that my legs simply couldn't keep up. But after months of sneaking spinach into omelets, vitamin K, and sipping coconut water, potassium, I decided to try. 10 steps in, my calves burned. 15 steps, my breath ragged. But I made it, with 2 seconds to spare. I stood on the other side, tears mixing with sweat, as cars honked at my victory dance. That tiny win sparked a revolution. I started timing myself walking to the mailbox, then around the block, then hiking a trail I'd sworn off a decade ago. The key wasn't a miracle. It was celebrating each shaky step forward. Lesson. Mobility isn't built in leaps. It's claimed one stubborn step at a time. Your bone density improved? At your age? My doctor stared at the lab results like they defied gravity. I bit back a smirk. For years, she dismissed my complaint about leg pain as normal wear and tear. But I'd taken matters into my own hands. Vitamin D3 drops under the tongue every morning. Fermented natto, a sticky, stinky vitamin K2 powerhouse, twice a week, and weight-bearing squats against my kitchen counter. The proof was in the numbers. My bones were rebuilding, my fracture risk plummeting. As I left her office, I handed her a printed study on vitamin K2's role in bone health. For your next patient, I said. Her stunned silence was sweeter than any pill. Lesson, lab results don't lie, even when doctors doubt you. The community center's fluorescent lights hummed as I face a room full of skeptical seniors. I'm here to talk about leg cramps. I began. A few rolled their eyes. But when I pulled out a jar of pumpkin seeds, magnesium, and a bottle of B12 spray, hands shot up. Will this help me play with my grandkids? Can I garden again? By the end, we were swapping recipes, kale chips for vitamin K, sardine toast for calcium, and laughing about natto's unique flavor. Now, every Thursday, we meet to share blood test wins, debate supplements, and practice chair squats. Last month, Martha, who'd used a walker for 5 years, strutted in wearing sneakers. Vitamin D, she declared, slamming a lab report on the table. The room erupted in cheers. Lesson: strong legs aren't just about walking. They're about leading the way for others. You've just unlocked the power to turn shaky, cramp-ridden legs into unbreakable pillars of strength, without surgery or magic pills. But what if I told you there's a hidden danger lurking in your daily routine, silently undoing all your progress? A mistake 9 out of 10 seniors make every single morning, one that sabotages balance, drains energy, and steals your independence faster than aging itself. In our next video, we're exposing the silent saboteur in a 5-minute fix that could add decades to your active, vibrant life. Hit that subscribe button and smash the bell, because what you don't know will hurt you, but what you learn next might just save you. Don't you dare miss it.